like to get this imagery that's in my mind out. And so creatively, I started pursuing videography. And once I got connected with my church.
Hey folks, welcome to Creative Side's first podcast. I'm Shane, I'm here with Coady, and we are the host here of the Creative Side podcast. Very first episode.
Yeah, very first.
What's going on, Coady?
Man, I just got to say I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this podcast and to see where this is going. It sounds like it's going to be going great places.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's been on my mind for a while to do something like this, and, you know, just never really pulled it together. But me and you met, I don't know, how long we've been knowing each other now?
About 2 years now.
Is it 2 years?
Getting close to 2 years, yeah.
So we met at church, and you're into creative, and I'm into creative, and we kind of got together and started doing some video shoots and different things like that, and at different times, and always wanted to do a podcast, and so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, first episode.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit about what the podcast is going to be about and what it's going to cover. You know, obviously it's going to cover creative elements and things like that. That's what we're into. By the way, we're shooting in CMG Studio today.
Yeah.
Pretty cool place to hang out. But what do you see some of the things coming up that we might talk about in this podcast?
Well, I think there's a whole lot of opportunity to delve into the creative side of things for sure. I know we're going to probably get into videography and how a person can express themselves through videography and taking images and everything. And also I believe into art as well, maybe some.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, creative elements cover so many different things. You know, we are into, like, I'm into music and my sons are into music. So music is going to be, you know, we'll talk about that some. We'll talk about video production, photography.
Yeah.
You know, the little town we live in, there's a lot of photographers. There's a lot of creative, artsy, if you will, folks in this town. So
Yeah.
I'd like to even talk about those things too, even maybe, you know, some local folks around here that are doing photography or whatever.
That would be great to get them to come in and maybe talk about a few things and how their creative side is participating within this community and where they get their influences from, and, you know, where do they see themselves, what they would hopefully like to see in their future.
Let's tell everybody that's listening to us a little bit about who we are, and just so they know, you know, a little about who we are. And I'll let you go first, man. Just share with, you know, the folks who you are, man.
Okay. Well, my name is Coady Ferguson, and I've been in Madisonville for about, I'd say, going on 6 years now, and I'm glad that I moved down here. It's a big change of pace for me from a big city to a small town. So
where was you from? What city was it?
Nashville.
Nashville, cool.
Moved down here from Nashville. I lived there for about probably 15, 16 years. And to be completely honest with you, I came here and I got sober.
Nice.
Yeah. So, complete transparency. Most of my life had been in an active addiction. And by the grace of God, I am now, in August of this year, I had 4 years sobriety.
Nice.
And so there's always been this part of me where I'd like to get this imagery that's in my mind out. And so creatively, I started pursuing videography. And once I got connected with my church where we met at,
right,
I had an opportunity to be on the creative team.
Yep.
And they allowed me to basically run around with a camera, and allowed for me to basically gain a little bit of experience on that area.
Yeah, it's that is, so cool to be able to be a part of a church,
Mhm.
and, for us as creative people, we wanna be creative, and we gotta find outlets for it because a lot of times, like, our day jobs, it's like we don't get to really do sometimes what we really like to do,
Yeah.
and we gotta find ways to blend that in, and me and you both have done that in our church.
Mhm. Yeah, speaking about day jobs, um, I've been with this company for February, it'll be 3 years now, and I'm fortunate enough to have a schedule where, I can have several days off during the week where I can pursue, what I say is my passion is,
Right.
content creation and, short form videos or whatnot, and that's where I believe that for myself, I like to bring the heart of something into reality. Because a lot of people they have this imagery inside, but they don't know how to express it. And for me, my avenue of expression is through the camera. So,
Yeah, I relate a lot to that because for me as well, I've been from this town that you're in now,
mhm,
for, you know, pretty much all my life, and, I've been into video production is one of the things I really love. I also love music a lot, as far as mixing live music. I play bass guitar, but, I do really like to, create that way. You know, I love the idea of going out and shooting a video for somebody. I don't know if you can hear, but we got a train going by now.
yeah,
So our studio is at a undisclosed location, but there is a railroad track
yeah,
close. So if you're from around the town we're in, you might start to think, okay, where is this place at?
yeah,
I don't know if you heard the train or not, but anyway, so yeah, creating a video to me is like, in our styles, both of our styles are a little different.
yeah,
Me and you have worked together on some projects, and you're a little bit more fast paced type videos,
mhm,
and I'm more like
mhm,
um, slow style, like more cinematic, slow type videos like that is where I really like to play around. But yeah, it's you know, folks that are creative in that kind of way or whatever it is, they got to find an outlet for it
absolutely. I believe that God had created us to be creative.
for sure.
And I believe that a person, like you said, I believe everybody has some part of them that wants to create something, whether it be sculpting, even the gentleman who pushes a lawnmower finds creation within cutting the blades of grass.
It's funny you say that because I used to be in the lawn care business,
Okay.
and and this was years ago,
Mhm.
and my dad owned a lawn care business, and pretty much for me, almost right out of high school, I went to work for the family business,
Mhm.
and we got into landscaping. I found out that I like that because I could go out to somebody's house and, look at it and say, okay, I see what it looks like now. And I would visualize, man, if we put these plants here, this here, or whatever.
Yes.
And then we could step away from it and say, wow, look what we created here. And to me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But even down to the blades of grass where you're mowing these perfectly straight lines and
Yes.
all this and that.
And
So
the nice little patterns, the rows and everything. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all creative
It is. Um, but yeah, there is so many opportunities someone could dive into, and it's really the passion of the heart, I feel. And I think we spoke before, and it's somebody has to have the passion for this to do it, you know?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And you just gotta, as we were talking, earlier about, you just got to jump out there and go with it. Sometimes you feel like, maybe, I know for years for me, when I was creating video, one of the things that helped me back is I didn't think I was good enough.
Mm.
And, but, you know, so it kind of held me back, and plus I was in a small town. There wasn't a lot going on, but, so that was a factor too. And then you get sucked into your day jobs, and
Yeah.
you know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that for me, I couldn't I can't allow the limitation of not knowing. Yeah, of course, it's like I don't know how to do this. How do I even jump on board with creating content that I can, share with everybody? How can I share a piece of me and what goes on inside of me to out to the world and make it look good? You know what I mean? And it's like, because you've got so many people out there creating content that is already looking just like spectacular. But the thing is, it's all about the person getting that creativity out. And for me, it's like I just got to do it, jump in. You know?
You're right. You just got to jump in and start to do it, and and you'll find your place in it. You know, we're kind of talking to the viewers about our what we do, and we both, like you were talking about your day job a little bit. My day job, I travel quite a bit, and I deal with customers for a large company, and I think it's really important to figure out a way to use your creativity in that scenario. And the way my job rolls out, I get to use some creativity with those guys, because every business needs, in my opinion, when you look at all the social media that's out there now, I mean, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those things, there are so many places that the average guy can go tell his story about his business.
Yeah.
And I have found that video is probably the best way to do that. I mean, you've got a lot of businesses that are doing static posts on Facebook or whatever, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But when they are able to identify somebody creative within their organization, or either hire somebody to come on video and start to tell the story of their business,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it can take it to the next level.
Absolutely. I believe with a lot of the content that's out there right now, if a business wants to stick out amongst the rest of them, then real life stories of like the mom and pop store down the road, if they want to come out with some content that shares their story and why they decided to open a business and the people who they serve and everything like that. People love to hear little stories.
Well, it's just like what we were talking about earlier. You know, today, I'd say more than ever, the average person is, they want to see something real.
Yeah.
They don't want Hollywood plastic.
Right.
They don't want that. They want to see real people doing real things, and that's one of the reasons why we've started this podcast, is because we're just a couple country boys,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that enjoy doing some creative stuff when we got the time to do it, and so it's, I think everybody has some create. You started to talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that everybody has something creative in them.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say that?
Well, you know, God in his word in Genesis, he said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth with his glory. For me, it's all about kingdom business. When I create content, I want to promote the kingdom, and so how do I wrap that into an expression through video? And so I don't know if I know you've seen some of my posts and some of my videos that I've made. It's all the centering factor is the kingdom. However, a lot of people um, have their own set of expression, but to answer your question, I believe God just created that inside of us to have that desire to be creative.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's you know, when God created the earth and the heavens and the earth,
Yeah.
he looked at it and said is good,
Yeah.
and I think that's just in us, and one way or another, that's why on this podcast it's not going to be limited to just maybe creativity on somebody playing the drums or a band or
Mhm.
whatever. I believe there are, many, many forms of creativity, and we'll discover maybe some that we didn't think about as we go forward and bring on guests. I'd like to bring guests onto this podcast that are doing business or, are doing some type of creative thing and just kind of pick their brains.
Yeah, that's really good because I know I don't know much of art. I don't know about sculpting, but to bring someone in who's been doing those things, that's definitely a form of um, a creativity that can be talked about for sure in this podcast.
For sure. Yeah. We were talking earlier about, as we talk a little more about the podcast and what it may be, we were kind of toying with the idea of maybe hitting up some local businesses and like maybe once a month or something like that, featuring a local business and just doing like a walkthrough and or something like that, bringing the business owner or somebody from the business in.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a really good idea. Um, if we find a business owner that wants to participate in this and say, hey, we would like to, in essence, let other people know about your business and why are you here? Why did you decide to open up a business? Who are the people you serve? I'm pretty sure that they've got some great stories.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, I travel a lot and I'm all over. I travel all over Kentucky, all over Tennessee, and I meet a lot of business people that actually I work with, and some of them got some incredibly interesting stories. And I'm always telling them, I'm like, hey man, you need to hire a content creator and come in and let them help you tell the story of your business, man, because it's fascinating and people want to hear that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. You never know what could happen. Just getting your story out there, how that might just change the whole trajectory of things,
Yeah. When I was younger, my brother and my sister and myself, we were all into music, and it's kind of jumping. I know I'm jumping around here, but I was going to tell you this as part of a little bit of history of me and where I came from. So we used to do music when we were kids. I mean, a lot of kids are playing playing sports, whatever, whatever. But usually kids that are into music and stuff like that, they're not really good at sports.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever noticed that or not, but
Yeah.
they bounce a basketball and they can't dribble, they can't do that, but they can play music. So that's kind of what we did. My sister, she back in the 70s, let's see, probably mid 70s, late 70s, she was very young at that time, but she was an incredible singer and songwriter, and really was getting noticed from some of the top people out of Nashville at that time. She cut a couple records, whatever.
Mhm.
But my dad was really into music. He's passed away now, but he was really into music. He loved to create a space for us to play in, and so where I was raised at, we had my dad built a building right beside of our house, and it had everything you could think of in it to do with music.
Wow.
And so over the years, there was a lot of local musicians around here that had come through that building. They all remember it.
Wow.
And that was a pretty cool time. I talked to some of those guys when I see them, and they're like, "Yeah, we remember the days of, you know, coming down to Rabbit Ridge and playing music and stuff like that." It was a fun time.
That sounds like that would be a great episode to
It
bring some of those guys in.
Well, probably will. I've got a couple of my buddies that I already talked to one of them about doing some stuff with me on here. He's like an incredible musician. He's been, studio musician in Nashville for years.
Mm.
And he's been all over the place, just a great musician. And he's got some incredible stories too
Yeah.
about creativity and things like that that he could share. So we'll have guys like that on as well.
Outstanding. That sounds great.
But so tell me a little bit more about, you know, what you got going on now. I mean, I know you was we've been talking about the ministry you've started. I don't know if you'd want to share about that or
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
If you do, go for it. If not, that's no problem.
So Nehemiah's Gate. Nehemiah's Gate is a 501c3 nonprofit.
Right.
Okay. For some time now, the Lord had put a burden on my heart. And, you know, I told you, back in a few years ago, I was in active addiction. Well, I was incarcerated one time, and the Lord had really touched my heart. And basically, I was stuck in the book of Nehemiah, and the Lord had me stop what I was doing and look around. And He told me that a lot of these men, they're going to go back to doing what they do. Some of these men want something different, and they don't know what that looks like. Some of these men want something different, and they've had a encounter with me, but unfortunately, they don't have an environment that they're going to be able to grow in. So Nehemiah's Gate is a men's discipleship home, and our mission is to create an environment that's going to help these men grow in their life of Christ to become the men God has called them to be. Um, this ball has started rolling about, I'd say, 6 months ago. The Lord was telling me about community, and all of a sudden, I got invited to serve to. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Great Banquet here in town.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got the opportunity to serve there, and there was community. And see, with this ministry, it's ecumenical. It's not one denomination. It's not one church. It's the local body of Christ coming together. And see, it's not a me thing. So it's the body of Christ. And if the body of Christ, we can't get people to come together to unite on a common goal and vision, unfortunately, it won't work. But I've already talked to numerous men and women who want to be on board, who have said, it's like, hey, just let me know where I can serve. And so at its essence, it is a home for men coming from out of incarceration. Let me talk about that. So our focus right now, our sole focus is men who have had an encounter with Jesus while incarcerated. And they do not have a place to go to that's going to help them grow and develop into the men of God that God has called them to be. We're going to bring people in, pastors, laymen, other men from the community that can come in and teach through talks, studies, different elements that we're going to have. We're going to have a curriculum. Then we're also going to have work duties during the first phase of this. Not to go too much into it right now and reveal a lot right now, but it's in its formidable stages, and it's going to be really great. I believe that this is a very much needed thing in our community, and yeah.
You know, that's awesome. I know we've talked a little bit about it, and I know there's a lot of work for you to get that started and everything like that. I'm excited to follow it and see it through. And I know you got a big vision for it and everything. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So as you was talking about that, I was thinking about some of the things that we've done, maybe together on some different shoots, or maybe some shoots that I've done. I just wanted to bring up one. We done a shoot for a retirement community in Providence, Kentucky.
Yes.
And it was a really interesting and a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it was fun.
I was a little bit nervous when we went down. I knew what I wanted to get, and I wanted to get some of the residents that live there. Now they're older. It's a retirement community, right?
Right.
And I was concerned, man, are they going to be able to give me what I'm looking for, to shoot the video?
Yeah.
Tell me what your thoughts were on that. I can tell you mine, but I want to hear from you.
Well, first off, they were like they were spot on for me because, I believe you had asked them a couple of things that they could say about the staff, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, I just love these people," just all the way around.
Right. Yeah. I was really impressed, you know. Yeah, I did ask that question.
Yeah.
Or you asked, one of us asked that question. I can't remember exactly how that went, but a couple of the ladies that was going to be interviewed and we were asking the questions, they were responding and giving us just incredible footage to use and voiceovers and different things like that as we created the video for them. But on that particular question, it was interesting because the one lady, she said, yeah, and I ain't going to say the names in case they see
Yeah.
she said, this is my favorite. I
Yeah.
want you to know, she came back to me. I was down there another time and she said, don't use that. I don't want them to see that because they're all my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was really impressive because I was scared that these are older folks and they might not know, they might get nervous in front of a camera.
Yeah.
But man, they just killed it.
Yeah, they were glad to see that we were there. I remember the few times that I walked in, and they were just happy to see us down there.
Yeah, I mean, they are, and my mom lives there. She has been there for just a little while, and but so I go down there quite often, and it is it's I always enjoy it when I go there because maybe first off, I'm like, oh, I got to run down there, and I really don't feel like it, or I've been traveling or whatever. But when I get there, and especially when we're sitting around and talking to some of the other residents, and they just love to tell stories, which is kind of a creative thing.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
But listening to some of the older folks tell stories is every time I leave there, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I went and spent that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
But yeah, that was a good shoot. I also went on a shoot to Guatemala, and you've seen some of the footage, and man, that was a tough one. I'd never been to Guatemala before, and I was kind of like nervous on. I've heard people say, "Well, you can't drink the water, you can't do this, you
Yeah.
can't do that." And I'm like, man, if somebody told me there were scorpions, and I was like really, really nervous about there's going to be scorpions everywhere, like in my hotel room or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Helped some of the viewers understand what the trip to Guatemala was all about if they don't know.
so it was with a local ministry here, and they had been asking me to go for a couple years, and I just wasn't able to get it together. But I finally decided that I would go, and man, the name of the school escapes me right now. Sorry, but there's a school planted there that this ministry, Luke 14, I believe is the name of the ministry here locally, helped establish this school down there. And I think there was 105 students that go there currently. And they just wanted me to come down and help document some of the things that was going on and to shoot B-roll to give to them to use on their social media and different things like that. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to go this time. And I did. And man, I just didn't realize how bad out of shape I was, because Guatemala, the area we were staying, it was like, I don't know, like 5,000 feet above sea level.
Wow. Yeah.
And dude, that'll get you really quick. You don't realize it. But anyway, we made it. I never seen a scorpion, but we were able to, bless some people, and I was able to shoot some incredible footage there that hopefully is going to help Luke 14, that ministry, do more work. Provided them with a bunch of B-roll and stuff they can use to, tell the story of their ministries.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I felt really good about it because I'm getting to create and brought a couple videos out of it that was really, really good, and shared with some of the other team workers that was there with us. really some fabulous people that I think there's like 5 or 6 of us that went together. I was the only one on the video side. The rest of them were from other churches, but it was a really good time. Really
Sounds
good
like it.
time. But yeah, do you got anything like that that stands out? Is there any things that stand out? I know you. How long have you been into the creative scene?
Really, probably just about as long as I've known you. Um, a little bit before, I just kind of started diving into making short form videos and whatnot, and started learning about apps and programs that I can use, because I was like, man, I really want to start doing this. And so yeah, I just started experimenting, started going on my own, just taking my camera. You'd be surprised just what today's camera on a phone, how good it is.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like, you when we met at church, you know, you were shooting on your iPhone,
Yeah.
and I think you went on and you got a gimbal for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's impressive what you can do on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I showed you one of my DSLRs with
Yeah.
the gimbal.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm really into the tech. I like that kind of stuff. I mean, if we turned the cameras around here and showed everybody what kind of tech is in here, it's it's quite a bit. It's not like real expensive stuff, but
Mhm.
it's pretty much budget stuff. But I got quite a bit of stuff in here that we love to play with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how um and that's another thing I want to talk about on this too is some of the tech and some of the tools of creativity. So, everybody, if you're, let's say you're a guitar player, you got to have a guitar
Yeah.
to express your creativity. I'd love to talk to some guitar players and, what's the greatest guitars and why. Drummers, they got to have drums,
Yeah.
those kind of thing. Keyboard players, photographers got to have cameras and, it goes on. I don't know what painters got to have. I know they got to have paint and brushes,
Yeah.
but
That's a good that would be a great segment to an episode, to move into. It's like, okay, tech and tool part of the episode.
yeah, and it's, on you was talking about the software and it's like, wow, man, there is so much out there. It's mind-boggling.
Mhm.
And, I'm kind of old school. I started doing video editing and stuff like that in analog days. And I kind of, worked for years in analog and then digital started coming and I kind of resisted it and kind of backed out of it for a little while. Got rid of my analog stuff and just kind of had I don't know, 2 or 3 years where I didn't really do much. I'm like, man, I had to get back in. And so then I started, you know, purchased a DSLR and some different things. Finally moved over to Mac computer instead of PC. Hopefully, I'm not making PC people mad on that. But I just, I just like Mac. I like Final Cut, and so got into that. Started learning it. But just so everybody knows, I started on my first video editing computer. It was a PC, and I used Adobe Premiere,
Mhm.
and I started on that, and then eventually just made a leap to a Mac, and I've kind of been there and got to know Final Cut pretty decent, and just stayed there. But there's so many apps out there now that
There is.
just does stuff for you, and it's like wow, you know. But anyway, I don't know. I think we're getting close to our timeline,
I believe we're at it. Yeah.
but so hey, I hope you guys have enjoyed the program. Um, we're gonna try to put out a new one once a week. It's what
Yes.
I'd like to do. So once a week. So whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching it on, like, subscribe, whatever whatever
And share,
it is,
please share.
and share,
And comment, please. Yeah.
comment.
We love to hear your comments.
Yeah, if folks want to give a comment, or got questions,
Absolutely.
or something like that, you could email us, or either comment, and we'll watch that stuff and see if we can bring, answer some of that stuff, or either talk about our opinions on it.
Yeah.
In future episodes.
Yeah, maybe even a topic you would like to hear discussed concerning creativity.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, folks, I hope you've enjoyed. This is episode 1. We'll see you soon in episode 2.